Utah is often associated with towering red cliffs and vast desert landscapes. But behind its geological beauty, the state holds settlements that challenge logic. From communities carving homes into massive caves to ghost towns that have remained underwater for decades, Utah is a real gallery of sociological and historical anomalies. This list is not just about abandoned places, but about how people adapt to extreme environments, belief systems, and the remnants of failed industries that leave strange marks across the American map. First, there is Thistle, a town that no longer looks like a town because it now exists as submerged ruins. Located at the junction of Highway 6 and 89, what remains are rooftops peeking above the water and wooden walls slowly decaying beneath the surface. The strangeness of Thistle began in April 1983 when a massive landslide created a natural dam that flooded the entire town within just a few days. For travelers passing by, the sight of tilted homes partially submerged in water within a green valley creates a surreal visual impression. There was no effort to rebuild. Residents abandoned the area almost immediately after the railroad line was destroyed. Today, Thistle stands as a silent reminder of how quickly nature can erase human settlement. It has become a popular photography site for those drawn to the quiet beauty of destruction. Moving southeast near Moab, we find Rockland Ranch, known locally as The Rock. For those hearing about it for the first time, this is one of the most structurally unusual modern communities in Utah. Imagine a neighborhood where people live inside massive caves carved with dynamite into the face of a sandstone cliff. Founded in the 1970s, it became home to a fundamentalist Mormon community seeking isolation and protection. Inside, these homes are equipped with modern amenities like electricity, water, and internet, while still exposing the original rock walls. Today, it remains actively inhabited by around 15 to 20 families. The story of Rockland Ranch is compelling because of the contrast between modern living and its almost prehistoric architectural style. At the same time, it represents an extreme adaptation to Utah's desert climate, where temperatures swing from intense daytime heat to cold nights, while the cave interiors remain relatively stable year-round. From rocky cliffs to Skull Valley, we arrive at the story of Iosepa. It is difficult to imagine a Hawaiian community existing in one of the driest and dustiest parts of Utah. In 1889, a group of Polynesian Mormon converts moved here and attempted to build their own version of paradise. The name Iosepa comes from Joseph F. Smith, but what makes it unusual is how they managed to survive. They grew corn and wheat on land with almost no rainfall and built complex irrigation systems to sustain themselves. However, isolation and a leprosy outbreak forced them to abandon Iosepa in 1917 and return to Hawaii. Today, all that remains is a small cemetery and a historical marker in the middle of wide grasslands. The silence of Iosepa feels strange because its atmosphere does not feel like the American West, but more like a lost memory from the Pacific. Meanwhile, Cisco stands as the definition of a town that refuses to die, even though it was abandoned long ago. Located in Grand County, this town was once a water stop for steam locomotives. When diesel engines took over and Interstate 70 was built around it, Cisco slowly began to decay. What makes it strange is its current condition, filled with the shells of classic cars, rusting gas stations, and piles of ruined buildings that make it feel as if time stopped in the 1950s. Interestingly, Cisco is not entirely empty. An artist named Eileen Musa bought most of the town in 2019, and began trying to turn it into an artist residency. That has created a strange mix of historical junk and modern art installations in the middle of nowhere. Next, if you drive to Hanksville, you may feel as if you have just landed on the red planet. The reason is, this small town is surrounded by orange-red soil and rock formations that look truly alien. Because of its remarkable geological similarity to Mars, the Mars Society built the Mars Desert Research Station near here. Researchers from around the world come to this place to simulate life on Mars, wearing full astronaut suits. Hanksville itself has a unique attraction called Hollow Mountain, a convenience store and gas station carved directly into the side of a rock hill. The town's character is highly unusual. On one side, there are locals living from ranching, while on the other, there are space scientists testing rover technology. If Hanksville is a place where the line between science fiction and rural reality becomes blurred, then this town offers an even deeper kind of strangeness. Located in Sego Canyon, this site began as a booming coal mining town in the early 20th century before collapsing completely. But the main reason people call it strange is not its ruined buildings, but the ancient rock art, or petroglyphs, on the cliff walls known as the Barrier Canyon style. Many ancient astronaut theorists see the images at Sego as evidence of alien visitors because the figures shown have no legs, oversized bodies, and strange eyes. Standing here creates a mystical feeling. You are surrounded by the remains of failed modern industry while being watched by ancient figures that look completely unfamiliar. Yes, the combination of dark mining history and archaeological mystery makes Sego one of the most atmospheric places in Utah. Just a few miles from Zion National Park lies Grafton. This town is often called the most filmed ghost town in the world, but its strangeness does not come from horror, but from its carefully preserved silence. Grafton was founded by settlers trying to grow cotton, but repeated flooding from the Virgin River and conflict with native residents forced them to give up. Today, structures like the schoolhouse and wooden homes still stand with the dramatic red cliffs of Zion in the background. There are no residents and no electricity, yet the place feels strangely alive because the interior details of the buildings remain preserved. Grafton is a rare example of how a failed past became an extraordinary visual asset for Hollywood, giving the impression of a town trapped in historical limbo. Then there is Vernal, which may be the most visually loud town on this list. Here, dinosaurs are not just fossils, but the town's identity. From a giant pink dinosaur statue named Dinah to hotels and restaurants built around prehistoric themes, Vernal feels like an amusement park turned into a real town. Its location near Dinosaur National Monument helps spark that identity, but the town's obsession with giant reptiles has reached a very unusual level. Almost every street corner offers some kind of dinosaur image or decoration. For visitors, it creates a strange feeling because of the contrast between modern life in Utah and decorations that seem to pull everything back millions of years. Vernal proves how a community can fully embrace one piece of history and turn it into the heartbeat of daily life. The strangeness of this town is a little different. Many towns are named after founders or natural features, but this one was named after a technical railroad function. Yes, Helper got its name from the Helper locomotives used to push freight trains up the steep grade at Soldier Summit. What makes Helper feel unusual today is the atmosphere of its main street. which still looks preserved in the style of the 1920s through the 1950s. After the coal mining industry declined, Helper transformed into an artist's colony. You can now see modern art galleries inside old buildings that once served as pool halls for rough miners. The mix of hard industrial heritage, the constant sound of train horns, and a progressive arts community creates a social atmosphere that is highly unique and unlike other parts of Utah, which are usually more conservative. In the late 19th century, Corinne was known as the Gentile capital of Utah, meaning non-Mormon. It was founded as a railroad logistics center and was deliberately built as the opposite of the dominant Mormon culture in the region. In its peak years, the town was filled with bars, gambling houses, and buildings meant to rival the influence of Salt Lake City. But Corinne's fortunes changed when the railroad routes were redirected. Today, Corinne is only a quiet farming town north of the Great Salt Lake. Its strangeness lies in the remnants of its rebellious identity. A few historic buildings still remain, showing the town's once grand ambition to become a center of secular life in the middle of deeply religious land. Seeing Corinne now, so calm and silent, makes us reflect on how political and economic ambition can vanish so completely with time. Moving up into the mountains, we come to Eureka. This town is fascinating because it sits in the Tintic mining district and is one of the few mining towns in Utah that is still technically alive, even though its population is very small. What makes Eureka unique is the way the town seems stacked along the side of a steep hill. Nearly every building here carries a long history, and the federal government has designated the entire town as a National Historic District. Walking through Eureka feels like moving through a museum without walls. You can see elegant Victorian homes standing beside sealed mining shafts. Its current condition is a mix of post-mining poverty and strong historical preservation efforts. There is a strange sense of persistence here. People still remain in a place that physically looks difficult to live in, surrounded by harsh mountain weather and the remnants of mining waste. Also worth noting is Hildale, located right on the Arizona border, with a deeply controversial history as a center of a fundamentalist polygamist group. The town's physical appearance is strikingly unusual. Enormous homes that look like fortresses, surrounded by walls 2 to 3 meters high. Many houses appear unfinished or have doors leading in strange directions, reflecting the old need for privacy and protection within the community. Today, however, Hildale is going through a dramatic social transformation. After its top leaders were imprisoned, the town began opening up to the public. Many walls are being torn down, and new businesses are starting to appear. The contrast between its closed past and its more open future creates a very unusual atmosphere of transition. Next, do you know this town? Scientifically, Silver Reef should never have existed. In the 1870s, geologists insisted that silver could not possibly be found in sandstone. But when silver really was discovered here, an extraordinary economic boom followed. Silver Reef became a cosmopolitan town in the desert with a newspaper, theater, and schools. What makes it strange is the seemingly impossible nature of its economy. And once the silver deposits ran out, the town vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Now, only a few sandstone walls and a small museum remain. The site stands as a reminder that sometimes nature breaks its own rules, and people rush in to exploit it before leaving it behind as silent ruins in the brush. But if you are looking for the ghost town with the bloodiest history, Frisco may be the answer. At the height of its silver mining boom, around 1885, Frisco was considered the most dangerous town in Utah. It was said that murders happened almost every day, and the law barely existed here. Its strangeness lies in the ruins of the charcoal kilns, which look like giant beehives. Yes, these kilns still stand firmly in the dry, high desert, creating a very unusual sight. Frisco was a place where human greed collided with extreme violence. Today, the wind howling through the remains of wooden buildings and stone kilns creates a chilling sensation, as if traces of its wild past still linger there. As a contrasting ending, let us look at Herriman. In general, it is a modern and fast-growing suburb in Salt Lake County. But Herriman becomes strange because of one very specific house, an exact replica of the house from Pixar's animated film Up. This house was built with official permission from Disney and includes remarkable details identical to the original, from the mailbox to the interior. In the middle of rows of modern homes that are uniform and neutral in color, the bright and colorful Up House stands as a pop culture anomaly. Yes, this is a unique example of how digital imagination can be turned into a real home in the physical world. Its presence adds a cheerful yet unusual touch to a residential landscape that is usually rigid and functional. Exploring these 15 towns in Utah gives us a new perspective, showing that the strangeness of a place often comes from humanity's effort to conquer nature or hold on to belief. In the end, Utah is not only about geological wonders, but also about the traces of civilization left behind in the most unusual forms. From submerged ruins to homes inside caves, each of these places invites us to reflect on human endurance, failure, and endless creativity. These towns prove that history is not always buried in books. Sometimes it still stands in the desert, waiting to be discovered and told again.